there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. The Bodfather.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Hi, this is Michael Alago, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bodfather, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a privilege to have music industry veteran Michael Alago. Michael has released his new autobiography, I Am Michael Alago, breathing music, signing Metallica and Beating Death via Backbeat Books, which is out now. Also co-written with Laura Davis Shannon. Michael helped put Metallica on the map by signing them to Elektra Records and changing the course of music history. Now, he may not think that, but I'm telling you right now, God, he has actually honestly changed it. Later, he helped catapult White Zombie, plus he also helped Metal Church, plus he's worked with many other bands, including Cyndi Lauper. He's worked with Cyndi Lauper, folks, so his taste of music is not just in metal or punk rock or anything. His flavor of music is all over the place, and that's what I like about Michael, is he's just not set in one standard type of music, so it's all over the place. So we're going to be talking to Michael about all this good stuff. So I'm sorry for blabbing, Michael, but how you doing, and welcome to the show.
Oh, greetings from New York City. I'm doing pretty good, thank you. I'm glad that we're here.
So how's it been working with Adrenaline PR so far on this run for your book, man?
Oh, well, we just started working with them about 2 weeks or so ago, and I've known Maria for over 25 years, so they know about me, I know about them, and they're doing a real good job, It's wonderful. It's wonderful so far.
How was it growing up in New York in the 70s and 80s at the time, when punk and metal, all this stuff, rock, was just out of this world at that time, man? You had stuff at your fingertips that some of us would love to go back and do. So how was it at that time?
Well, I was a young kid growing up in Brooklyn, and like I tell everybody, especially in my book, I came out of the womb loving music. I loved 24/7. There were a lot of music television shows that I would watch all the time, from Dick Clark's American Bandstand to Don Kirshner's Midnight Special to Don Cornelius's Soul Train. So all of those music channels, programs, played such a diverse group of music that I was different kinds of music came at me at a very young age. Everything from Grand Funk Railroad to Aretha Franklin to David Bowie. All of those programs showcase the diverse range of artists. So at an early age, I heard a lot of everything. So I never just loved one thing growing up. And I was like a sponge in everything that I was interested in. So, I was lucky to live 7 blocks away from Lemoore in Brooklyn, and we got to see Wasp and Metal Church and Metallica and the Cro-Mags and Biohazard and everybody back then. It was incredible. I would walk to Lemoore, and I would stumble home, vomiting, and my mother would just pick me up and throw me in bed, and, so I'd start all over again. But, the beauty of New York for me in the late 70s and the early 80s as a teenager is I had wild curiosity. I wanted to know about everything. So, there was a newspaper called The Village Voice. The Village Voice had everything in it, from music, art, theater, politics, and pornography. We could leave the politics out, but I loved everything else that was in there. And that informed me again of things that were happening in the city. You know, CBGB was a hub of punk rock, hardcore. They had a lot of the, I guess in such strange way you could call it like a British invasion of punk in the 70s when they brought over Eddie and the Hot Rods, X-Ray Specs, The Damned, and, you know, the Dead Boys wound up being the house band at CB's for the longest time. So, you know, we had lots of stuff going on at CBGB, at Max's Kansas City, at Great Gildersleeve, in the East Village, A7. I mean, there was tons of stuff going on back then, every night of the week. And, you know, the parts of New York City, us young kids were taking the train from Brooklyn to Manhattan. It was scary. But you know what? We didn't give a damn. We just wanted to go where the music was. And that's what I did. I don't know why, but I had no fear. I just, you know, it was scary. There were people living on the street. There were murders. There were guns everywhere. There were drugs every place. But us young people, like I said, all we wanted to do and all that we did is we gravitated towards the music. So it was extraordinary. And, you know, young people now in 2020, when they say, oh, man, I wish I could have seen The Clash at Bonds in Times Square, or, you know, I don't know, David Bowie and the Spikes from Mars, or, you know, Metallica when Kill 'Em All came out. Well, the beauty right now of everything I just mentioned to you, you know, we could see mostly on YouTube and places like that. Now, it's not the same as being there, but this is where technology is our friend, and you know, you can get to see all that stuff back then. You could see rare clips of when Cliff Burton played with Metallica. I mean, extraordinary stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, even though a lot of that stuff doesn't exist anymore, and New York has been gentrified and homogenized, and things are very different, I'm glad that was the time period that I grew up in.
Like you said, technology has helped out a lot. You can go back and you can relive those days, or the ones who want to see it can go back and see it. You still get that.
Yeah, for sure.
You still get that feeling, because to me, you should still get that same feeling, watch it on YouTube, as if you're actually at that bar or at that venue. That's my take on it. You should still be able to feel.
Well, it's a little different because it's TV, but if you have a big TV and you turn it up to 10, then, you know, it's all good.
What was it actually that made you want to get into the music industry of that part of the working? Was it just something that just came along and it just happened, or was it just where you soaked up everything as a sponge? You said, I got to do this.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Did you get to see my movie that's on Netflix?
No, I have not got to watch. We're going to talk about that here in just a bit. No, I have not got to watch it as of yet.
I should come over there and beat you up. That should have been part of your homework, young man. But having said that, like I said, I grew up loving music. I knew I wanted to be in the music business, but at 14, 15 years old, what does that mean? You know, when you don't play an instrument even. I just continued loving the programs that I was seeing on television. And then, you know, 76, 77, 78, I was already out on the streets in Manhattan seeing all of this up-and-coming talent. Now, at some point, because I had no plan B. I wanted to be in music. What happened was I was going to a college called School of Visual Arts. I was working at a pharmacy part-time in the shipping and receiving department. And one day, like I say in my documentary that you have not seen yet, the documentary is called Who the Fuck Is That Guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago. So in the documentary, and I hope all your people who are listening watch the film. It's pretty cool. I was walking down the street in the East Village. I saw a beautiful big building. It looked like architecture from the 1920s, Art Deco, and it said Video Club opening. It was 1980. It was the beginning of MTV, when MTV was the beginning of showing videos 24/7. So I walked into this building. I looked around. There was a man in the balcony, and I always say it was like the Wizard of Oz. He said, "Kid, we're not open. What do you want?" Basically, I'm paraphrasing. And I said, I want a job. And he said, "Well, do you have a resume?" And I said, "I do not have a resume." And he just laughed, and he called me up to his office, and we started talking. And his name is Jerry Brandt. And Jerry, in the 60s, started this club called the Electric Circus, which was like huge and innovative, and it also changed the face of music, that club. And, you know, everybody played there. Even Jimi Hendrix played there. But Jerry also worked with Muhammad Ali. He worked with the singer Sam Cooke. He discovered Carly Simon. And I didn't know this when I was sitting there with him. And we talked about music from the Great American Songbook on the 30s and 40s to music of present day that was on the radio. And I started letting him know what was happening on the street. So he said, "You know what? I'm going to give you a job. You're going to get my mail. You're going to pick up my lunch, and you're going to answer all my phone calls." And I said, "Wow, I'm in the music business." Yeah, I kind of, sort of was. It was the beginning. Yeah. Now, the Ritz was a music venue that people know now as Webster Hall. Sold maybe, I don't know, 1,500 people or so. And that's what I did. I opened his mail, I answered his phone, I got him his lunch. But I was listening to everything he was talking about when he spoke to booking agents, whether it was booking the Police or Tina Turner or Prince or whomever. I listened and I learned how to speak to booking agents. And, you know, at some point, maybe 2 years in, I was the assistant music director there, and I was helping him book all the entertainment there. And that was my first job in the music business from 1980 to 83. And then I knew somehow I wanted a little more. My friend Mitchell said, "Michael, my dad is leaving Warner Brothers Records, and he's going to go to Elektra." Elektra was in the crapper at that point in time. And he said, "I'm going to tell my dad to interview you." So, to make a long story longer, I met with this CEO, chairman, Bob Krasnow, and I had the same conversation with Bob that I had with Jerry Brandt at the Ritz. It was about music, all types of music. But Bob also loved art, and we talked about the emerging art scene in the East Village in New York City. And after about an hour, he said, "Great meeting with you. You'll hear from me." About 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from his office, and they said, "Bob would like to hire you. You're going to be in the A&R department." Well, I was thrilled. Now I'm going to work at a record company, but I had no idea what A&R meant. So I had to ask my friend, "Wait a minute, what does A&R mean?" And it means artist and repertoire, and you're the person who's going to be going out every night looking for talent for the record company, and then executive producing these projects, and hopefully you're going to find people who are great, sell millions of records, so that you get to keep your job. And I did that job for 25 years.
That's awesome. You did a good job at it, that's for sure. You hit a home run with a lot of them, that is for damn sure. When did you decide to start maybe putting something together for a book, or who was it that gave you the push for it, man, if anybody possibly?
Well, like I said, there's a documentary about me on Netflix called Who the Fuck Is That Guy? It's coming up on 3 years now that it's been on Netflix. It's been wildly successful there. I hear from people all over the world about the film, and they love it because it's not about just a metal film. It is about a life of somebody who's overcome addiction, is in recovery, who's overcome health issues, and I'm now thriving in my life. The movie just, because of the popularity on Netflix, it just started on Amazon Prime. Now, with all that people knowing about the movie, a little book company called Backbeat Books called and asked me if I had more stories. And I was like, yeah, I have more stories. Of course I have more stories. In 77 minutes in a movie, you can't tell everything. So you talk about the big highs and the big lows, and you get everybody who you've worked with in the movie, like Metallica, like Rob Zombie, like Cyndi Lauper, like my dear friend Phil Anselmo from Pantera. You get all these people, and John Lydon from the Sex Pistols and Public Image Limited. You get all these talking heads, and you make a movie, and the movie came out great. So Backbeat Books knew that, and they asked if I wanted to make a book. Now, I have such a crazy brain from all the drinking and the drugging, which I don't do anymore, 12 years clean and sober, that I just thought, well, I could tell more stories. And I could continue telling the truth about life, about the ups and the downs of one person's life. So I knew Laura Davis Shannon I knew her from 30 years ago. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. She wrote a book called The Girl in the Back, and the subtitle is A Female Drummer's Life with Bowie, Blondie, and the 70s rock scene. So I just thought, well, it'd be nice to see Laura again. We met up, I read her book, and she assisted me in writing the book. We pulled from I kept journals as a young person, and we pulled from all those journals, and we started writing, and then we fixed everything so that it sounded like my voice. And now I have a book coming out. I am Michael Alago, Breathing Music, signing Metallica, Beating Death. I have an event coming up this Friday night in New York. It's Bowery Electric. The book doesn't officially come out until March 25th, but you can pre-order it on Amazon right now.
Looking back, how important was it that you kept those journals, man, with all that information to go back to now?
Well, it was very important, or else it would not be a book. Because really, half of my life I do not remember. But I don't know what made a kid from Brooklyn start a journal. These journals were not any kind of poetry. It was not really creative writing. It was lists. Today, taking the train from Brooklyn to Manhattan, going to CBGB. There's a double bill of The Damned and the Dead Boys for 3 nights. I guess I got to go all 3 nights. So stuff like that, I wrote like as lists for a very long time. And what those lists did was it just kind of like shook up my brain so that I remembered all that stuff. And I just started dictating all that stuff to Laura. And 2.5 years later, I have a book coming out. And there's lots of really good pictures inside the book. There's about 85 photographs, including Polaroids that I took of Metallica on the first day that they came to my office, and on the first time I flew over to London to see them. Very interesting stuff that people have never seen before.
I want to go back before I forget, because you said you worked with Phil Anselmo with Pantera.
He's a very good friend of mine. Never worked with him, but we've known each other forever, and that's why he agreed to be in my film. He's another extraordinary person.
Oh, for sure. We all know what happened to Dimebag, which is unfortunate, which I wish to God he was still here with us. Plus, we all know what happened to Vidi.
Oh, we all do.
Now, there was speculation, there was talk, and I don't know how true this is, but he had mentioned something about reforming and getting Pantera back together. At a time, if that was to, came fruition, if that came true, Michael, how big of an impact do you think that would have made on the metal world of Pantera getting back together like that, man?
Well, we don't have all the members there, so it would be a little different. It's extraordinary that Philip is so incredible that, he's the force. He's the front man. Now, of course, people do these reunion tours and getting back together tours. I have no idea what would have happened. I'm sure if there was an official, we're doing a Pantera tour, they would have 2 new members, and I think people would flock to hear those albums.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
you can't go wrong with that music.
No,
they're also
cannot.
one of those bands that have a one-of-kind front man, and those records are extraordinary. So, it doesn't take away. Look, it takes away that we wish that the 2 other members, Vinny and Dimebag, were here, but those records are extraordinary. And if Philip wanted to go out and do a tour, he has a right to do that. And I would hope that everybody would want to go see that live in concert.
Oh, I would in a heartbeat. Yeah, you're a fool
Me
not to.
too.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite chapter in this book? Possibly.
Oh, gosh. Do I have a favorite chapter? No, not really. But, let me just tell you, the beauty of the book is that it wound up coming out like short stories. So, you can read about Brooklyn, and you know what you're going to get when you read the chapter Brooklyn. It's a complete thought. Same thing if you read the Metallica chapter, or a chapter called That Metal Guy, and where we talk about Metal Church and Flotsam and Dokken and all the crazy stuff. So the book goes from music to addiction, recovery, thriving in the world at large today. I talk a bit about my mom throughout the book. I talk a little bit about the documentary. And the very last chapter of the book, which is only about 2 or 3 pages, is called Gratitude. Because I feel grateful every day in my life that I wake up and that I have a life. And, we should all feel that way. So, not to just give you a general answer, but, you should just read the book. And if you read the book, hopefully you'll come away with feeling good about music. And if you're a musician, you continue to play your music. Or if you're somebody who's struggling with addiction, you after maybe reading my story, you're not going to be ashamed or have fear of asking for help. Because when you ask for help on anything, you're going to get the help. And then you have to decide what you're going to do with the help.
Yeah, exactly.
So do I have a favorite? There's some good chapters. I tell a good Leonard Skinner story in there. That's something cool. That's fabulous. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in the book. So I don't have a favorite chapter.
Writing this book, though, Michael, has it been more? Yeah. Has it been like a personal growth for you to get all this out? Maybe.
Well, yes, I would say it was definitely a bit cathartic to get some of the dark stuff out. And when you do that, it's a weight off your shoulders, and you don't have to relive dark things from the past anymore. The weight becomes a lot lighter, hopefully. And you just move on to newer and better experiences.
Without Max's Kansas City, the Ritz, CBGBs in the 70s and early 80s, man, do you think your life would went down a different path possibly?
Well, I guess, but I can't even think like that because it is what it is. It was what it was. And thank God I was living in Brooklyn and all that stuff did happen, So I can't think of like a what if because from an early age, music was my inspiration. And like I said, growing up, I didn't have a plan B. My plan was I'm going to be in the music business. And that's how it all played out. And I feel very blessed. I feel very lucky. And I'm very grateful every day. So, that's like asking me about plan B. There was no plan B.
At the age of 24, you began a storied career as an A&R executive at Elektra Records, of course. That started with signing Metallica in the summer of 1984, changing the entire landscape of rock and roll and heavy metal.
Oh, yeah.
What was your reaction when the first time you heard them and had no clue who they were?
Oh, God. Yep. So, like I said, I lived in Brooklyn under Dietrich Avenue, which was like, we lived underneath the elevated trains, up the above, elevated trains.
Yeah.
So I would walk 7 blocks from home to the mall. And one day, my friend Phil Cavano and I, Phil was in Shrapnel back then. He's now and still in Monster Magnet. We went in 1982 to hear Metallica at Lemoore, and we were blown away. It was like, listen, man, we were all in our early 20s, and these were young people who knew what the fuck they were doing back then. They were dedicated to that noise that they were making. They were all fantastic on stage. They were all doing something never heard before. Because remember, we're listening to all of our traditional heavy metal and hard rock, which is incredible. But here come these young people doing something that nobody heard before. I mean, and that's the truth. So then we'll fast forward 1 year. I started Elektra. I was going on the West Coast to the West Coast for a business trip. I knew that they were playing at the Stone in San Francisco, so I go and see them again. And I friggin' lose my mind. It's like James Hetfield is extraordinary. It's like he's a ringleader on stage, and I was like, he was he's a powerful example of somebody who is that charismatic on stage and makes everybody listen to what he has to say.
Yes.
So, the problem was they were on a little label called Megaforce Records. Kill 'Em All had come out on Megaforce. They were the beginnings of, I think Like a Lightning was also coming out on Megaforce. And I had given Lars my number in 1983 at the Stone. Months went by. I was doing my job. He was doing his job. And he called and said, I don't know if he's still interested in us, but we're playing Roseland with Anthrax and Raven. I said, am I interested in you? Hell yeah, I'm interested in you. So I went to see them at Roseland. I was drunk and crazy and having a good time. I went backstage after the show, and they all were like, the only one who really knew who I was Lars. And the other ones looked at me like, who's this drunk person? And, because I had a ripped T-shirt, jeans, I looked exactly like them. And Lars was like, James, Kurt, Cliff, this is Michael Alago from Elektra Records. And they all looked at me like, okay. And we had a good laugh. We had some beers. And I said, I want you on Elektra.
Yeah.
So the next day, they came to my office. We sat in the conference room. I ordered beer and Chinese food. I tell this story all the time. I tell it in books. It's in my documentary that's on Netflix. And, I gave them, since 1984, I gave them cassettes and vinyl of The Doors, The Stooges, the MC5, all the great rock stuff that Elektra Records was known for. And, a deal was worked out, I always say, I don't want to sound crass about it or anything, but money talks. So when our business affairs department started talking to Johnny Z's business affairs department at Megaforce, a deal was struck and everybody walked away happy. And me signing Metallica and getting them out to the world at large just changed the face of everything. Everybody's ears were opened up to new sounds. And then, of course, all the other record labels wanted their own Metallica.
Yeah.
But, there is only one Metallica. Mm-hmm. But there are other extraordinary bands out there equal to Metallica. And that's my other favorite band of all time, Slayer.
Yeah.
Hey, they could do no wrong in my book. Anyway, so I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent here. But that's what happened with Metallica. And here we are in 2020 talking about them 36 years later, and they're still playing stadiums.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think their last record, Hardwired to Self-Destruct, is great.
I'm going to say this right now. Today makes 34 years. Today makes 34 years of the release of Master of Puppets.
Wait, today?
Yes,
the
today.
third?
34 years.
Oh,
yeah.
God. So we're talking on a great day.
Yes, exactly. And here's another thing. I've said this before, and I don't care to admit this. I went through a dark path when my dad was real sick, and the only thing that saved my life, honestly, was a few family members and Masters of Puppets. It saved my life.
Well, isn't that great?
Yeah. So
listen, music really does have that power. So I'm happy to hear you say that.
looking back, though, Michael, are there any bands that you had a chance to sign that you wish you had signed now, possibly, that you let it get away, maybe?
I don't really think that way. But, if you ask me if I would have worked with Slayer, I would have loved to work with Slayer. A funny little story, after I signed Metallica, at some point I remember Dave Mustaine and Megadeth put out this record called Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good.
Yes, sir.
Well, I showed that album cover to our chairman. He thought that was the greatest and the funniest title ever. And he said, well, what are we going to do about this? So I met with Dave a lot, and I respect his craft and his art and what he does. But, if I would have signed them, it would have been very unfair because Dave would have still been in the shadow of Metallica. So he made a wise choice, and a good friend of mine, now since passed, named Tim Carr, A&R guy, signed them to Capitol. And, for that story, their career, the rest is history. Who I always wanted to work closely with was Cro-Mags. I love the Cro-Mags. I think they were one of the best hardcore bands ever. But you know what? When you work for a corporation, not everybody's young and cool like me who loves all types of music. So me signing a band like the Cro-Mags would have been a disservice to them because it would have been me loving them and nobody else at 1 o'clock in the morning going down to the Lower East Side to hear them. So, all I have done these last 30 years with the Cro-Mags is love them, support them in any way that I can, social media, go into all the gigs and blah, blah, blah. And that was the best that I could do with them. But I never look back like woulda, coulda, shoulda. I'm just so glad that I got to work with the people that I've worked with, whether it's Michael Girard from the group Swans, whether it's, Kurt Vanderhoof from Metal Church, Jetsam, John Lydon from Public Image Limited. I mean, I made American Psycho with the Misfits in 1997, 98 for Geffen Records. I'm just grateful that I got to work with a large variety of artists that I could bring out into the world at large, and maybe all that music helped make a difference in other people's lives.
What about metal today? Do you think it's in good hands with the upcoming bands that are out there right now, and plus some of the newer ones that are out there right now, possibly?
Well, I think everything is cyclical. Everything is never not going to be metal. For me, I love all the darker stuff. Like there's a band we have in New York called Black Anvil. They were on Relapse for 2 albums. They are dark. They are fantastic. And I love them. There's a little band from South Florida called Ether Coven, who I just got signed to Century Media. They are dark, but their record is brutal. It's majestic. And Rattan from Morbid Angel produced it in Tampa, and it just came out. Give a listen to it. Ether Coven, it's called Everything is Temporary Except Suffering. I like the new Zombie Apocalypse record. So there's always new and wonderful stuff coming out. You just have to be out there, either still buying magazines that are out there on the newsstands, and going to and being a part of social media and finding all these young unsigned and underground artists that are out there. There's always good music out there. You have to maybe search a little more than usual. It's out there, and it's all for your listening. That's what I do. I'm always on social media. I'm always looking for stuff. Friends of mine tell me, go to St. Vitus in Brooklyn. I'm going to St. Vitus in Brooklyn. And who I'm going to see next month at St. Vitus in Brooklyn is a band from Greece called Rotting Christ. Do you know them?
No, but I would definitely check them out for sure.
Ooh, Rotting Christ. Excellent music. Excellent music. Rotting Christ. Yeah. Rotting Christ. Yep. There's always stuff out there. For me, I've always been a fan. I've never stopped being a fan. Even when I worked for a corporation, I just love the music. I support the music. And, you know, I'm out there all the time listening to the music.
Folks, I'm asking you as a personal favor, please get out and pick up and pre-order Michael's new book, I Am Michael Alago, Breathing Music, Signing Metallica, and Beating Death via Backbeat Books. Please pre-order it.
And while we're at it, go to Netflix and watch Who the Fuck Is That Guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago.
See? The guy right there added it in for me. Michael, how can folks stay in touch with you? How can they do that, good sir?
Well, you know, I'm really every day. I'm always on Facebook and Instagram under Michael Anthony Alago. You know, I try to get back to everybody as best I can. And, you know, I'm always posting stuff that I love. So that's where I am out there in the world.
And before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a
please.
promo for my show?
Sure. Hi, this is Michael Alago, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our new podcast link, plus it has our YouTube link. Subscribe, because everything and anything that we do will go up on the podcast link and YouTube site. Please get out and support Michael Alago. You will love this guy. You will love everything about what he's done. Trust me. Trust me. Thanks, Michael, so much, man. I wish you nothing but the best of luck, good sir.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so good to talk to you. Really, this is a lot of fun.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.